A very good afternoon to everyone. I am beginning this memorial lecture with a popular shloka from chapter 2 of Srimad Bhagavatam, which epitomizes the soul. Nanam chindanti shastrani, nanam dahati pavakah, na chainam kledanti apo, na shoshyati marutah. This 23rd shloka from the chapter 2 of Srimad Bhagavatam epitomizes the soul, the one that cannot be destroyed by sword, cannot be burnt by fire, water cannot wet it, and wind, no matter how strong, cannot evaporate it. The soul is immortal, but it takes form of the mortal body for this earth to accomplish various tasks assigned by destiny. Though we are all mortals, yet we attain immortality through our thoughts, deeds, and actions. When these three are performed to bring excellence in each sphere of life, they immortalize those who are no more with us in the memories of family, friends, colleagues, who keep getting inspired by such people during their life journey. One such stalwart of profession of company secretaries, whose determination and dedication of 22 years made the ICSI reach greater heights, was late CSTP Subbaraman Sir, the former secretary and executive director of ICSI. Sir was with ICSI from 1971 till 1993, and in his loving memory, this memorial lecture on leadership development is being organized by the Institute of Company Secretaries of India today. Though he left for his heavenly abode on 8th of November 2021, his memories are imprinted in the minds of one and all, be it his family, friends, or his professional colleagues. As you all are aware that ICSI is celebrating the month of July 2022 as the student month, and various initiatives, be it tree plantation drive, blood donation camps, joint programs with universities, career awareness programs, and moot court competitions, etc. are being organized by the Institute's regional councils and chapters. In this month, a unique initiative of organizing the memorial lectures was introduced for the first time in the memory of the proponents of the profession who are no more with us, but their legacy in form of their successes and achievements are being carried forward for the betterment of the Institute. The Council of the Institute, under the able guidance of President ICSI C.S. Devendra V. Deshpande ji, Vice President the ICSI C.S. Manish Gupta ji, and Secretary ICSI C.S. Ashish Mohan ji, took this conscious decision to organize these memorial lectures, and Vice President ICSI C.S. Manish Gupta ji is leading from the front to successfully accomplish this great idea. Joining us today for this commemorative moment are C.S. Ashish Mohan ji, Secretary ICSI, C.S. N.K. Jain, former Secretary and CEO ICSI, C.S. Dinesh Chand Arora sir, former Secretary ICSI, and we are also fortunate to have with us today Mrs. Vijay Lakshmi Subbaraman, wife of C.S. TP Subbaraman sir, Mr. Jaykumar Subbaraman, son of Subbaraman sir, Ms. Uma Venkataraman, and Ms. Rama Kanan, daughters of C.S. TP Subbaraman ji. We are also pleased to have friends of Subbaraman sir, Mr. S.K. Agarwal, N.V. Subramanyam ji, and G.K. Iyer ji. They are also company secretaries, and they are joining us today for this memorial lecture. I welcome you all on the behalf of the Institute of Company Secretaries of India today. Without taking much of the time, we move forward, and let's begin with this momentous occasion with a video as a tribute commemorating late CSTP Subbaraman sir's various achievements and his successes that he attained for the Institute of ICSI. I would request the IT team to kindly play the video. Institute of Company Secretaries of India today. Without taking much of the time, we move forward, and let's begin with this momentous occasion with a video as a tribute commemorating late So that was a video commemorating Sir's successes and achievements for the Institute. CSTP Subaramanji was a personality par excellence. His popularity amongst his peers, students, and members amply indicates that he was a believer of the famous proverb, "It is more important for a leader to be a stimulant than to be important." He was a sage, enriched with some original thoughts, and man of honesty and integrity, with free and frank opinion on various matters. I will now invite the first speaker for the day, C.S. Ashish Mohanji. Today we have with us C.S. Ashish Mohanji, Secretary of ICSI, who would be further taking us through the life journey of C.S. T.P. Subaramanji and how he also influenced Ashishji's young mind that he got attracted towards the profession of company secretaries. Briefly introducing Ashish Mohanji, he is a fellow member of the Institute of Company Secretaries of India. Sir has had a brilliant academic record, having secured first rank in both LLM and LLB examinations from prestigious universities. He is recipient of a gold medal from the Governor of Kerala, and he holds to his credit a host of scholarships and awards. Being a qualified insolvency professional under the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2016, Ashish Mohanji is a member of the ICSI IIP. Sir has also practiced as a corporate lawyer and insolvency professional, and has been representing regularly at the various benches of NCLT and NCLAT, etc. He has been a speaker for various programs organized by the professional institutions and management associations, a sought-after faculty at various educational institutions, and he has trained directors and government officers in programs conducted on various platforms. So I now invite the speaker for the first day, C.S. Ashish Mohanji, to kindly say a few words.
Thank you, Aarti, for introducing me. I don't know whether I deserve such accomplishments. Madam Mrs. Vijayalakshmi Subramanian, Mrs. Uma Venkatraman, Mrs. Rama Kannan, the Jaykumar ji, the N.K. Jain ji, the Dinesh Arora ji, the S.K. Agarwal, the N.V. Subramaniam, the G.K. Iyer, dear students, members, all the employees who are all connected to us to the social media of the Institute. A very warm good evening to all of you. I'm indeed humbled to be here because I never imagined that I would have to take up this responsibility, which I had never anticipated. And every day and every night, whenever I leave office, I just pray to the Almighty that my consciousness that I do not astray, and that I just follow the legacy left by great men like T.P. Subramanian sir, Sri N.K. Jain, Dinesh Arora ji, and all the past former secretaries of this institute. These were great men who had built up this edifice of this institute. Dear members and students, today we are here in memory of late Sri T.P. Subramanian sir, and also to take part in the memorial lecture with regard to CS, a preferred professional, leadership development. T.P. Subramanian sir was among those breed of people who, in spite of, when you look back, in spite of we having limited resources, had that great zeal and commitment so that to take this thought process forward. And perhaps it is these men who have built up the entire edifice of this institute and the benefits which we are actually reaping. Sir served as Secretary and Executive Director of the Institute. He served almost an approximate period of 22 years in the Institute. That itself shows, right from the inception of this Institute, the efforts which might have been put in. One cannot imagine the kind of struggle which might have gone through. And the entire family is here. I'm really thankful to the entire family. I can understand what the family might have gone through in those years, because it would have been like a second home for Sir in the Institute, and most of the time he would have been spending in the Institute. He had a very pivotal role in promoting the profession of company secretaries, and in fact, in early 60s, he was instrumental in making the students forum later on, which had a great role in framing the Institute. His efforts in taking up various recognitions for the profession, and also during that tenure, ICSI getting constituted as a statutory body stands remarkable, and we remember him with folded hands and acknowledge his determination. Indeed, a great iconic leader, a great sense of compassion, foresight, humanity. And this I am telling out of my interaction with few of the employees. I will not say a lot of employees, few of the employees who are still serving the Institute, who are at a very senior positions. And these people were interviewed and recruited by Subbaraman sir. And they say to me that the way he used to carry himself, he was very strict, but at the same point of time had a great sense of compassion and humanity. Indeed, I know he would be blessing all of us, taking the vision of the Institute forward. I really sincerely thank all the family members who are present here. Thank you, all of you, for all the time which you have spared for him, for contributing to the Institute. Dear friends, we have with us Sri N.K. Jain and Dinesh Arora, our secretaries of the Institute, also with us. Today, we are having a memorial lecture on the leadership development. Also, I would like to also place one important record as far as T.P. Subbaraman sir is there, which perhaps covers the entire thing. I got that literature from his book only. There was a Vidhai Samaro on 3rd March 1993, and he was being given farewell, and a statement was published at that point of time. It was said, the T.P. Subbaraman, who as one of the pioneers developed company secretaryship into a coveted professionals in India, and put it on international map. Won his laurels through sheer devotion and dedication. No words can adequately express the fraternity's eternal gratitude to its supreme. I think this words really fits in his contribution. Really, words cannot express his contribution. Dear students, we are here also to celebrate the Students' Month, and we have very eminent personalities like N.K. Jain and Dinesh Arora with us. The concept of CS, a preferred professional, which was a dream of T.P. Subbaraman sir also. This concept, when we were entering into the career as company secretary, always fascinated us. We always looked to be a preferred professional, rather than something which we should be blocked under the statutory requirement. And I'm thankful to the president this year that he has taken up this theme and acknowledged in various forums that this is the theme which we need to take forward. And the Institute has taken a lot of decisions, a lot of initiatives, continuing its legacy, and we have looking beyond various normal areas of practice, and there's a wonderful opportunity awaiting the students and members. This, I'm sure, in the years to come, these initiatives will definitely make CS a preferred professional, and I am also eagerly awaiting to hear from K. Jain Saab and Dinesh Arora ji, and also to listen to their words of wisdom. I welcome all the students and members to this memorial. Thank you, one and all. Over to you,
Thank you, sir, for your kind words and the words of wisdom today that has been shared on this platform, and memories of CS TP Subaraman sir ji, with whom we were not fortunate to work, but yes, NK Jain sir has had the he was fortunate enough to work with our former secretary and executive director, and I hope, sir, that you would be able to share with us lots of memories and thoughts about him. But before we move on to you, sir, we have a small presentation where we would like to show the students and members what were the achievements of CSCP Subaraman sir. And just on the screen, you would see it's a gist of his achievements. We could not put much, but yes, we have taken out the main ones, and at least people would come to know that he was such a great personality under whom the institute expanded and increased all its existing facilities with regard to education, training, and opportunities for students and members. And his guidance and leadership took us to a different level altogether. I hope the presentation is visible to all.
No.
Presentation is visible, ma'am.
No, we can't see the presentation, Aarti.
Sir को नहीं दिख रही है. Okay, so sir, it is actually visible on the laptop. If it's on a smaller screen, it won't be visible. That was Jay Kumar, sir.
I'm on the laptop actually, and I can't see it.
No, Aarti, it is not visible on the screen.
No,
Sir, I'll just check once again. Sir, I'll just check once again.
இல்ல
Yeah,
பக்கத்துல
I
இருக்கா அம்மா வணக்கமா பேர் போட்டிருக்கு அவ்வளவுதான்.
Is it visible now?
Not yet.
No, not yet.
அதுல வருதா? Yeah. Yeah.
Coming on now.
Now. Yeah.
Yes.
அங்கேயே
You can
இல்லையா?
see it now, Aarti.
It will take just one more minute. We are just checking the technical glitch.
Came up for a little while actually.
So actually, I have checked. Some people are able to view and some are not. Maybe there is a network issue at their end.
Now able to view actually.
Are you able to view? May I continue?
I can see that.
We can see it now, Aarti.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. We'll just continue with the presentation. So, major achievements of late CS TP Subaraman sir, former Secretary and Executive Director, DICSI. The institute expanded and increased all existing facilities with regard to education, training, and opportunities for students and members under his guidance and leadership. The first All India Conference in Chennai on role and responsibilities of a company secretary was held under the leadership of late CS TP Subaraman sir. ICSI took over conduct of examination from the government, which was a major step. And then ICSI selected its own examination centers and supervisors for the conduct of examinations. ICSI increased the examination centers for the benefit of students by selecting reputed educational institutions in all such centers for the conduct of and to supervise the examinations, and discontinued using the RDs and the ROCs for such purposes. So it was a learning for us also, where we learned that ICSI's examinations were done under the supervision of RDs and ROCs. So it was a learning. ICSI initiated postal tuition as early as in 1972 and improved its quality and contents under the able leadership of late CS TP Subaraman Sarji. ICSI arranged railway concession for students required to travel to distant centers. Starting with CC Sutaria Prize Awards, ICSI instituted several prizes for meritorious students and merit cum means scholarship for deserving students and concessions for SC and scheduled tribe students. ICSI provided the best study material. Thereafter, ICSI started providing a shorter course for other professionals undergoing our postal tuition, and also local oral coaching arrangements in all regional councils and major chapters. Libraries were started in HQ, regional councils and major chapters, for the benefit of the students, which was a major initiative. Arrangements for students were made to remit fees. Remitting fees in those times must have been a big problem, because there was no internet and there was no online payment facility. So arrangements for students were made to remit fees easily and directly for registration, postal study, purchase of past question papers and guideline answers, and writing all examinations by opening an extension counter of a bank in headquarters for payment of all fees, and later in all branches of a specified bank in regional headquarters and chapters. That must have been a massive exercise. In due course, even student conferences were started for local students, state students, and thereafter on all India basis. ICSI christened its monthly journal as Chartered Secretary under the leadership of CSTP Subaraman Sir, and it gained popularity in due course as the best professional journal. ICSI gave concessional tariff for students subscribing for Chartered Secretary, and also opened a regular student section in Chartered Secretary to provide academic and procedural guidance with regard to registration, postal tuition, examination, practical training, and admission to membership. Career counseling in colleges and regular meetings with students in each regional headquarter and major chapters were organized and addressed by late CP to TP Subaraman Sir, along with academic officers on a regular basis. So it's a great motivation for us that our former secretary and executive director himself used to go for career counseling in various colleges and used to motivate students to join this elite profession. For improvement of training facilities, ICSI continued to have interaction with the training companies, arranged 15 days training in SEs, FIs, and issue houses, and requested training companies to provide suitable stipend for students undergoing training. So great achievements of CSTP Subaraman Sir, and it motivates today us to take so many steps for the institute, so that we are also the part of the evolving journey of ICSI. So this was a small presentation, and we will move forward this memorial lecture. Our next speaker for the day is CS N.K. Jain, the former Secretary and Chief Executive Officer of the Institute of Company Secretaries of India. I will briefly introduce N.K. Jain, sir. Mr. N.K. Jain is a science graduate and has completed his law degree from Delhi University in 1974. He is a fellow member of the Institute of Company Secretaries of India and an honorary fellow member of the Institute of Certified Public Secretaries, Kenya. He has an industry experience of over 44 years, which includes more than 30 years of managerial experience in senior positions. He is the past chairman of NIRC, past council member, and former secretary and CEO of the Institute of Company Secretaries of India. Under his leadership, the institute recorded outstanding growth and development on all fronts. He's widely traveled and has addressed various national and international seminars, workshops on diverse issues including corporate governance, organized by OECD, GCGF, INSOL, International Indo-UK Task Force on Corporate Affairs, ICGN, IFCS, CSIA, CAS Business School, London CMD, Maldives, etc. So, sir is a highly acclaimed speaker, and he is also a corporate advisor. He has conducted several arbitration proceedings as an arbitrator in public and private sector undertakings. He's also involved in orientation of board leadership teams on diverse subjects with focus on corporate governance, board roles, responsibilities and liabilities, corporate compliance management, CSR, sustainability, etc. Sir, we welcome you to this forum today, to this memorial lecture, which is being held in the loving memory of CSTP Subaraman sir. And sir, we had the honor of working with you under your leadership and guidance. Yes, we saw the exponential growth that the institute grew to. And in your tenure, we learned what is the real meaning, the literal meaning of when the tough gets going, when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. So we also toughened under that, and we, faced various adverse situations, and we came up as stars under your leadership. So thank you for joining us today. And sir, over to you for your kind words today on this memorial lecture.
Thank you, Aarti. Thank you very much. My thanks to Mr. Manish Gupta, the Vice President of the Institute, for inviting me for this coveted program. I feel myself lucky and privileged to be addressing this gathering as a memorial lecture of late Shri T.P. Subaraman, who was our idol and iconic figure for all of us. Shri Vijay Lakshmi ji, Shrimati Vijay Lakshmi ji, Uma ji, Rama ji, Jayakumar ji, Shri Ashish ji, Shri Dinesh Arora ji, S.K. Agrawal ji, Iyer ji, Subramaniam ji, members and students, welcome to this program. The first time I met Mr. Subaraman, I was a student in late 70s and I qualified in 1980. We used to hear about him, people used to tell that it's very, very difficult to meet Mr. Subaraman. And even if you get an opportunity of meeting him, you have to think 10 times before entering into his office. So the first time when I got an appointment to meet Mr. Subaraman was in 1981, just after I qualified as a company secretary. And I was so anxious that how will I talk, what will I talk, how will I put my issue before him. His towering personality, he's a 6-footer, a very impressive personality. And when we went to the institute and outside his office, there was a red light outside his room. So all that generated a lot of anxiety, and I almost became very, very nervous. I thought, let me run away from here. But something, finally I was able to meet him. Let me tell you, the meeting was so different than the impression I had carried in my mind. He was so humble, he was so polite, he was so helpful. And within no time, he was able to resolve the issue and gave me a solution. So when I came out, I was carrying an entirely different impression about what Mr. Subaraman was. I was elected to Northern India Regional Council twice, and then I was also elected to Central Council from 95 to 97. There were a lot of opportunity, and then we came to know real Subaraman, what Mr. Subaraman is. If I may say so, he was an institution by himself. A single man army, single person army, a towering personality, very polite but very firm. He may be looking very polite, but from inside he was just like a cast iron. Very measured in his communications, always clear what he has to talk or what he has to write. We used to receive his communications from the institute. His trademark signatures, any communication will come with his trademark signatures spreading from one end to another end. Such a long signature that he had, which was very impressive. and very communicative. And there was absolutely no confusion at all. The orator par excellence. At least I had the opportunity of hearing him in various seminars, conferences, national conventions. He was so impressive, so impressive. I always used to think, can I ever speak like him? Can I ever talk like him? Can I ever communicate the way he communicated? I saw in his communications. Well, his family is sitting here. I can say, and please pardon me if I am wrong, ICI was his first passion, and everything came later. He loved his family, but when it came to ICSI and his family, I think the answer was obvious, that ICSI first and the family later on. So I can understand, as somebody mentioned, that family had difficult times. Perhaps you did not get the kind of time that you deserved as son or daughters or wife, but that is what his passion was. ICSI first. I have seen him working in the offices, late hours, running from post to pillar. He had absolutely no inhibition. If for ICSI he needed to reach out to anybody, he would do so. If he has to talk to anybody, he has to go to anywhere, he will not hesitate in reaching. Mr. Subbaraman was master in building and maintaining relationships with both internal and external stakeholders. He had excellent interpersonal relationship with the employees. He had outstanding relationship with officials of the government, the regulators, stock exchanges, RBI, SEBI, etc., etc. Whomsoever he was required to consult or talk to, he would do so. I can say with 100% confidence that Mr. Subbaraman was an administrator par excellence. I always treated me as a student of Mr. Subbaraman and learned a lot of things from him as far as administration is concerned, and so many other things. He would know what to do and what not to do. He was a highly disciplined person. He wanted to send a message to people working with him. You can see him right in the morning at the institute. Not that he was the secretary, he would take that liberty with himself. No, never. He set very high standards of discipline, and he wanted to demonstrate, send that message, send that signal to the team working with him that discipline first, everything else later. He had a unique quality, and I am saying so with utmost conviction. He had unique quality to see through the strengths and weaknesses of the individuals and the people working with him. And then he leveraged those strengths to optimize the productivity in the institute. If there is a person A and he knows that his strength is A, is this, he would not try to give him an assignment other than his strengths. He will optimize his strengths, use him for that particular purpose, and that is what made him dearer to the people. Mr. Subbaraman, as I said, was polite, but he was bold enough to be a wall against adversaries of ICSI and CS profession. If anybody tried to damage the profession anyway, you will find Mr. Subbaraman standing as a wall. Nobody could breach that wall. So he would always protect the interest of ICSI, CS profession, the interest of the members, and the interest of the students. In spite of a whole package of qualities that he had, Mr. Subbaraman had a very distinctive quality of being open to criticism, or positive criticism. He always respected dissent. A number of times, we had discussions with him on several subjects, but we always felt comfortable that if we hold a different view, we hold a different opinion, he felt absolutely emboldened to put forth that opinion and try to convince him. And if he found merit in the views, he would accept it. He had that tenacity. He had that broad-minded approach to accept that. He respected and encouraged intellect and hard work. That was his, again, very unique quality. If there is a person, he would put him on a fast track. If there is somebody who is intelligent, who is hardworking, who is committed, who is loyal to the institute, he would go all the way to put him on that fast track. He was a great influencer. I found him this very unique quality in him. He would not try to persuade you, but he would try to influence the people who were working around him. If I know, Mr. This is how Mr. Subaraman works. If I am convinced, I will try to imitate him. I will try to follow those principles instead of being persuaded by somebody. So he was a great influencer. And I mean, this is more for those members and students who have joined the institute in last 10-15 years. When Mr. Subaraman was the secretary and the executive director, and he was driving this institute, there was very challenging work environment. He had a small office, small number of people. I mean, I have seen those times when people used to sit on the floor and fill up those folders of the study material sitting on the floors, carry those study materials on the cycles from one place to another place. There was hardly any office space, not the kind of air-conditioned glass building that we have today. He had a small team with him, and that team with small packages of salaries and benefits. So he worked in a very challenging environment, yet he delivered the results due to his inspiration and motivation. He was a true leader who made his way through a dark tunnel. When Mr. Subaraman joined the institute in 1971, this profession was not even taken shape. It was a concept which was being introduced in 1968 when institute was incorporated as a Section 25 company. There was nothing around us except the example of UK profession of company secretaries. In an Indian environment where it is very, very difficult to move ahead. So he was in a dark tunnel. He didn't know what to do. But from there, he conceived the ideas, he thought through the whole process, and then he made a very clear roadmap for the institute from dark tunnel to sunshine. He brought the profession to become a very, very credible, respected and responsible profession, provide enormous value to the industry, trade and business, to the government and regulatory bodies, and to the society at large, to ICSI, its members, and to other stakeholders. So, I mean, these were some of the very, very distinct qualities of Mr. Subaraman. If I summarize his 10 leadership, because this is the theme leadership development on which Mr. Dinesh Arora will speak. I mean, in my assessment, the top 10 leadership qualities of Mr. Subaraman was his vision. He could see through. He could. The institute has to grow. This is his vision, and this is the roadmap. His ability to see big when ICSI is headed and to what needs to be done to reach that goal. His second leadership quality was inspiration. His ability to convey the vision to the team and get them excited about it. His third leadership quality was strategic and critical thinking. Not that he was busy only in administration. He provided that strategic and critical thinking as major inputs to the council, on which the council was able to formulate policies, long-term and short-term, to chart out a roadmap for the institute. His interpersonal communications were very strong. Authenticity and self-awareness. His sixth leadership quality was open-mindedness and creativity. He was very flexible. That was his seventh leadership quality. Eighth was responsibility and dependability. He always took the responsibility. He never shirked the responsibility. There's something lead from the front. Patience and tenacity and continuous improvement. He was never satisfied with whatever he has achieved. As I said when I demitted the office, perhaps I am a dissatisfied secretary and CEO because I thought I could be something much more. And I think that was the thought process of Mr. Subaraman also. Although some achievements have been listed out, but I would rate top 6 achievements of Mr. Subaraman, although there are thousands and thousands of achievements of Mr. Subaraman in his 22 years of service. is the 6 top achievements of Mr. Subaraman in 1974, prescription of qualification and provision for appointment of full-time secretaries in the Companies Amendment Act 1974. I mean, that provided the basis when every company was required to appoint, that was 25 lakhs at that time, paid up capital. Then in 1979, issue of certificate of practice. It is said that the heart and soul of any profession is the practicing side of the profession. Like chartered accountants, 70% of their revenues come from the practicing side. So Mr. Subaraman was instrumental in giving that concept of issue of certificate of practice. Then in 1981, in 1979, he acquired the land, and in 1981, the ICSI headquarters, where Mr. Ashish Mohan is sitting today, was constructed in 1981. That was a very big achievement of Mr. Subaraman. Again in 1981, he converting ICSI as a statutory body under Company Secretaries Act 1980. So from 1st January 1981, it became a statutory body from Section 25 company, which was a very landmark achievement. In 1988, was defining the concepts of PCS and providing few exclusive areas of work for practicing company secretary. And his last major achievement in 1993, when he superannuated, that was the best recognition given to the profession in Companies Bill 1993, requiring secretarial compliance report for all Section 383A companies. That gave a major boost to the profession of company secretary. Now, two incidences that I would like to share with you. One I have already shared with first meeting with Mr. Subaraman. That was very exciting. Secondly, sometime I don't remember exactly, 1992 or 1995, I had also contested that election. When the counting of the votes was going on in the institute headquarters, there was a huge fire in the midst of the counting. There was a huge fire, the pandal. Now everybody got panicky that this would mean that election will have to be conducted all over India once again. But this gentleman, I don't know what he is made of, Mr. T.P. Subaraman, he was absolutely cool. And he gave very clear directions to all the office staff. He did not let be the people who were contesting the elections. He said, you please stand on this side, and let all the officials, he directed that first priority is to take all the ballot papers away so that they are not damaged. So the whole team got busy and they took away all the ballot papers to a safe place where so that election was not required to be conducted again. There was a lot of damage, and fortunately nobody got injured, but otherwise it was a problem. Now, one more incidents I would like to share with you. Under Companies Act 1980, there was a requirement, Section 16, there was a requirement that the secretary of the institute will have to be essentially a member of the institute. He will have to be a company secretary, qualified company secretary, and a member of the Institute of Company Secretaries of India. And Mr. Subaraman was very attached to this. He was very passionate about this requirement. But in 2006, the Act was amended, and unfortunately, I was the secretary and CEO at that time, and unfortunately, that requirement that the secretary has to be essentially a member of the institute was done away with by the government. I was under fire from Mr. Subaraman. He called me, he said, NK, this is not done. I don't accept it. How did you let this happen? When we are teaching the industry that every company of a certain size should have a company secretary who is a member of the Institute of Company Secretaries. Yeah. How can the institute himself do away with such a requirement? Any amount of my convincing would not satisfy. And ultimately, to my utter shock, and to the shock of other members like Mr. S.K. Agarwal, Mr. Iyer, and Mr. other senior members, he sent his resignation letter from the membership of the institute. We were all shocked. We were all what to do, what not to do. So we all held a meeting together. Some senior members, very senior members, went to Chennai, and some senior members from Chennai. They all met him there, and requested him to withdraw his resignation letter. And finally, the resignation letter was withdrawn, but a resolution of the council was passed. Although the act has done away with the requirement, but the council passed a resolution prescribing that member of the institute will only be eligible for becoming the secretary of the institute. So that was the way out which was found out. Subaraman graciously withdrew his resignation letter, and we went away. When I was appointed as the secretary of ICSI, I called him to seek his blessings. Yes, sir. It's a dream come true. It's such a high position. We have seen you working in that position for right from the day we were a student. So I need your advice and guidance. What do we do? So he was like a fatherly figure. He would. One thing, there was a confidence that whatever he will advise will be the right advice, will be the correct advice. He will put you on the right path. There are a lot of people who put you on the wrong path. Let this guy fail. But that was the confidence that he will put you on the right path. And he said, NK, you are in a hot seat. A lot of balancing, a lot of diplomacy. After all, dealing with the president every year, a new president comes. Council at that time used to change every 3 years. So dealing with the council every 3 years, the new president every year needs a lot of skills, a lot of diplomacy, a lot of understanding, and a lot of balancing. So you do all that, and then whenever you are in hot waters, you need any advice and guidance, I am always there. And he stood as a rock by my side throughout my 9.5 years, almost 10 years tenure as a secretary and CU. During my tenure, inquiry was to be conducted in Kolkata. There was some issue, so I requested Mr. Subaraman that I would like to appoint you as inquiry officer. So he graciously agreed. He flew to Delhi. We understood all the issues. He was with his laptop. At that stage, he never, left things. He would do the things himself. Everything he worked on the laptop, understood the issues, then flew to Calcutta. I spent 4-5 days there, conducted a thorough inquiry, and submitted his report in time. So that was the kind of commitment that Mr. Subaraman had for the institute, whether he was in service or he had superannuated from the institute. His commitment to the institute continued. Just 10 days before he left us, on 8th November last year, he had come back from Canada recently, just a few days before, and I had a detailed talk with him. We spoke to each other. Just, I think, 10 days before he left, and conversation we had. So, friends, in conclusion, I would say that he was respectful. He always he wanted to bring about that change. CSI as an institution which is respected, which is worshipped, which creates value for the industry, which delivers, and I think he, in his all measure, in those difficult, challenging times with limited financial resources, limited manpower, limited support from the people, he did that, and he's a great personality. I would like to conclude by one quote of Robert Louis Stevenson. He said, "Don't judge each day by the harvest you reap, but you plant. The seeds that he planted for ICSI are giving the fruits to us. What ICSI is today is the result of what the very strong foundation that Mr. Subaraman had laid during his tenure. In my single word, he was truly a Karmyog. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, for this great insight. In fact, I had started thinking कि sir चुप ना हो, sir बताते रहे, because it was a great learning for us. The way CSTP Subaraman sir took the institute to the heights that it is right now. He planted the seeds for for us to grow to that height that we are currently. So, sharing his great memories, his vision, his great qualities as a top leader, and his best contributions and achievements for the institute, sir. We thank you today from the bottom of our heart for bringing up and making us understand what kind of leader sir was. So thank you once again, sir, and we take forward this memorial lecture. I now would take this opportunity to introduce the family members of CSTP Subaraman sir, who have joined us from as far as Canada, Chennai, and Bangalore. We have with us today Mrs. Vijayalakshmi Subaraman, wife of late CSTP Subaraman sir, Mrs. Uma Venkataraman, Mrs. Rama Kannan, Mr. Jayakumar Subaraman, daughters and sons of late CSTP Subaraman sir. We welcome you all, and we request you to kindly share your memories with us of this great person. Over to you, ma'am. I would like to invite Vijayalakshmi ma'am to kindly say a few words on this occasion and help us to further, make things memorable, and this memorial lecture become a successful event. Ma'am, kindly say a few words.
Amma, are you able to hear?
Maybe Amma is not able to unmute from there. So I know, what she would definitely want
Rama
to
ma'am,
say.
kindly share your thoughts today.
Okay.
Okay, Uma ma'am
I
is
must.
okay.
We are totally humbled, touched, and emotional with the way you all have spoken. We don't have much which we already, has been told about Appa. We are touched, and it's. I know how it has been for Amma all through the journey. Family has been important, but as rightly said by Mr. Jain ji and Mr. Ashish Mohan ji, Institute has been his baby. He brought this as a profession, and he was totally committed, dedicated, and that's how he saw this as a vision. He knew that it's going to come up and so many students would be involved, which is a profession built at that time was a great thing. We know how committed and how much he spent time in the institute as well as traveling, and that was part of his life. And this is something which he totally loved. He was committed. He was involved in it. We know that he spent a lot of time in bringing up this profession. Institute has been his vision, and that's how we see that now. And it started with just few students, and there are thousands of students. We appreciate, and we are, how do I say, like we are so proud of his accomplishment. I don't have much words to say. Thank you so much for giving us an opportunity to say a few words. To all of you, RTG, Ashish Mohan ji, N.K. Jain ji, whom we have known since when we were kids. And of course, Dinesh Chandra ji, all of you, thank you so much for giving us an opportunity. And we are still learning from him. That's what I would say. Thank you again. And I'll ask my brother and sister to take a few words. Thank you.
I think
Thanks, Suman, and thanks to the entire institute, Mr. Jain, Mr. Mohan, Mr. Dinesh Chandra, and Aarti to hold this memorial. It's very we are humble, we are privileged, we're very, very proud of Appa. Everything that was spoken by Mr. Jain, Mr. Ashish Mohan, everything that you showed in the presentation, you were involved in it, but we saw it from the outside. But as a father, I think we couldn't be more proud of somebody like him. He's imbibed, we hopefully imbibe some qualities from him. The hard work and the work ethic he used to call work as worship. Mr. Ashish Mohan, Mr. Jain, everybody said how important the institute was. The institute was another family to him. It was everybody in the institute. We've gotten close to so many of the institute. We fondly remember the picnics that we've gone with the institute and the employees of the institute. They were all family. They didn't feel separate from us, and we're fortunate to know a number of people from the institute and the relationship that he's built. That we have a lot of people that we know of from them, and his commitment and his institute was his passion, and a lot of people would know him as Institute Subbaraman more than anything else. And everybody that he has developed a relationship that Mr. Jain mentioned. It's his qualities that you, as a professional working along with him, that you would know. We wouldn't see all of that, but he was an amazing father to us. As much as he was passionate about the institute, he made sure that he took the time out. We remember all the vacations that he used to make sure that he used to take with us, which was so important for him, as much as as much as the institute was. So it was, we call work balance now, but he had all of that figured out at that time itself. So I couldn't be more proud of a father. So, and again, we're very, very thankful to the institute for holding this memorial again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jaykumarji. And we are so thankful to you, to the family members, and Vijayalakshmi ma'am, for sharing your thoughts, your experiences about this great person whom we are, today commemorating through his life achievements and successes. And we also thank you to make us look at the institute through your eyes, through his experiences. Thank you once again.
Thank you. Actually,
Yeah, Rama can.
Yeah, I'm just.
Rama ma'am, kindly
thank you.
share your words, your thoughts also.
I think, Jain Sahab and Mr. Ashish Mohan and you have said so much, and my brother and sister as well. I really, when I was talking to Amma just yesterday about it, said for Appa it was always work is worship. And that was what it was. Jain, you talked about Appa, whether we missed him as family because the institute was his baby. It was baby. Equally, he involved us with, we knew, as Jayku said, people in the organization, and he did not let us miss him. And what this lecture is about, like leadership development, I just want to add that even when he was just with few people, even as a student, when he was starting, Amma was reminding me yesterday that they would go at that time because we didn't have the question papers. They would go to centers, people would write the exams, they would come out, he would go in the cycle, go cyclo style, and then distribute. That's how much he started with the students' profession. And I just want to add that that's what leadership is about. You don't need an army of people to be leader of. You need your own personal vision of what you want to make this profession to be, and you start at a scratch when you're just a student. How are you going to go and get more people to know about it? All that was as important to him, and he had that vision. Mr. Jain, as we have started working, Uma, Jaykumar and I, we can hear all this about leadership and how people are, the vision, the development, the delegation, and how do you execute, how do you influence. And you can see that for us it was our father. So it was, we didn't personally see all that, but when we hear all this from you and from others, we are so proud, so honored, and so thankful to all of you for sharing this. This is time for the family since he passed away, but this is all of you have made very special and we feel very blessed. And we hope Appa is looking up from Mahabu and all his work has been very good. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rama ma'am. Thank you for sharing your great thoughts. Thank you for making us look at the institute from your point of view, from your experiences, from what Subaraman sir has done for you as a father, and as a father for our institute also, the fatherly figure that he was, and the way he evolved the institute so that it reached these greater heights today. So I take forward this memorial lecture now, and I invite our guest speaker for the day, who is going to take the session on leadership development, C.S. Dinesh Ji Arora Ji. He is the former secretary of the Institute of Company Secretaries of India. So we welcome you. And just giving a brief introduction of Dinesh sir. He's a fellow member of the Institute of Company Secretaries of India, and he was the former secretary of the institute during the years 2016 to 18. He is currently associated as a chief financial officer with Rudra Abhishek Enterprises Limited. His prior experience of working as CFO and company secretary with large corporate houses includes Clock Dental, Resonance, Carvey, Saint Gobain, and Godfrey Phillips. He has wide experience of more than 3 decades in the area of strategic planning, fundraising, IPO and private equity, investor relations, corporate laws and corporate governance, mergers and acquisitions, treasury, risk management, and corporate taxation. He is widely traveled and is a passionate reader and speaker. He has delivered lectures on leadership and topics related to the profession, which include managing private equity, readiness for IPO, SEBI, LODR, investor relations, corporate governance, capital market instruments, due diligence, mission CSR, GST, at various national and international forums. He is a self-motivated person and constantly focuses to inspire and motivate the young professionals and entrepreneurs and young company secretaries too. So thank you for joining us today, sir. And now I request you to kindly say a few words regarding this memorial lecture and then begin your session, sir. Over to you, Dinesh ji.
Thank you. My sincere regards to Vijay Lakshmi ma'am, Rama ma'am, Uma ma'am, Jay Kumar ji, NK Jain sahab sitting there, Ashish ji sitting there, Iyer sahab sitting there, SK Agrawal ji sitting there. All the esteemed members, students, and whosoever is part of this forum, my sincere regards to each and every one. I express my heartfelt condolences for this irreparable loss to the institute, to the family, to the profession, and to all of us, I would say. When I was the secretary of the institute during their tenure from 2016 to 2018, a couple of occasions came when I could interact with Sir Subaraman sir. He visited the institute. I'm sure that he was having a lot of challenge to meet people, spending time with them. Despite that, he made sure that he spends the maximum time with me, having some discussion, providing some wisdom of words, some guidance which he wanted to just make sure that from the next generation of secretaries I carry those, and he wanted to make sure that whatever best during that discussion I can take out from him, he cooperates me to take and to implement those things. He made sure that, and I'm really thankful that whatever he could express, I could make out very clearly. And today I'm expressing that he himself was an institution, and I can make out also the fact that an institution was heading the institute for 17, 18 years, 22 years, whatever we mentioned. And that is the result that, this kind of contribution came from him, that this institute, we all along with this institute reached to this kind of heights and achievements. When I have been advised that, I should share some thoughts on leadership development, though time constraint is there, and this is a topic which once you start speaking, it is very difficult to control and challenge and to restrict the time limit, but I will honor the time limit. I'll make sure that I sum up this entire discussion within 15-20 minutes, though this is very challenging. So when I was just thinking about it, what exactly I should speak, I thought that the right way of making tribute to Subramanian sir would be that I include the maximum contents, whatever I could notice amongst, the past secretaries, especially he, whatever traits, leadership traits he was carrying, whatever I could observe, whatever I could sense. Let me just try and cover those leadership traits in particular. So to begin with, let me just tell you that, when we talk about leadership development, the first thing comes personality, because ultimately leadership is driven by the personality. At many forums, many discussions, this question comes, what is personality? And lot of different and varied answers come to this. But the way I have studied, the way I have researched, I just would like to share certain thoughts, which may be a little, challenging, conflicting, giving some different opinions. But my way of studying and research is that, like we have the primary colors, the blue, red, and green, these are the primary colors, and with these three colors, we can make the composition of multiple colors. Like that, we have some principal ingredients in our personality, some primary kind of, personality traits. If we make the composition of these particular primary ingredients, we can enhance our personality traits to the multiple traits, and we can develop our personality as a giant personality, as a great personality. And what are those primary traits I'm talking about? In fact, according to me, there are two primary traits which every human being carries, and he develops his personality, his leadership traits through these two primary ingredients. And what are those? One is the desire. Everyone has some or the other desire. And the other thing is his thought process, his thoughts. And everyone has something or the other thoughts. Now, what is desire, where it comes from, how it is, how it shapes the personality and the leadership, how the thoughts, they evolve and they, multiply into various leadership traits and generate a greater personality. Just give you certain insights on that. When we talk about desire, so desire comes first or the thought comes first. This may always be a vicious circular discussion. Both influence each other. But according to me, my belief says that, the desire is the first thing. Everyone, he develops something or the other desire right from the beginning of his, growing up as a childhood. Some or the other desire everyone carries. This desire gets some surrounding environment through some thoughts, some behaviors, some emotions, some observations. By virtue of these influences, these desires, they took some shape. This desire ultimately becomes a will. Will becomes the willpower, and willpower becomes the passion. And passion is the one very, very significant and important ingredient which makes anyone a great leader. So passion is the first thing I'm talking about. I'm highlighting the first ingredient, the first personality trait is passion in anyone. And when I'm talking especially about Subramanian sir, I mean, nothing to express anything in addition that he was quite passionate. This is the first thing I'm talking about. Now coming to the second point, what is the relevance of thought in a personality trait and leadership development? We all know, we all talk about positive thinking and things like that. But whether positive thinking is adequate and enough, according to me, probably positive thinking is just a basic thing. It is not enough. It is not adequate. In fact, more than that, power thinking is required. When we give lot of power to our thinking, when we, in a powerful way, we start thinking and we make this as a habit, as a conditioning, that thought ultimately, that it attracts the emotions. And when emotions influence thoughts, thoughts start converting into beliefs. That is the process. And when thoughts convert into beliefs, a very important personality trait, a very important leadership traits take a shape, which is, along with passion, it is a very, very significant and substantial element of our personality and leadership, which makes anyone a the greatest leader. And if we look back, any of the great personalities, Mahatma Gandhi, Mother Teresa, or George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Ratan Tata, Sachin Tendulkar, Amitabh Bachchan, anyone else for that matter, probably we will see these two particular things without exception, anyone. And even if we look at in our profession, whether we talk all the past secretaries, whether we talk about presidents, past president, current president, council, we will find these specific personality traits in each and every one, rather in the forum, whosoever is sitting here. Everyone has to some or the other or the greater elements at some magnitude. These two prerequisites are always there. I'm just trying to share my screen. If I can just take you through a very brief presentation to make the things more clear. Arthik, can you just help me in sharing the screen? I'm not able to
Sir,
find
I
it.
have already provided the sharing rights to you. It is there.
Okay, I can get it now. Yeah. So with these thoughts and desire, everyone, without exception, develops some self-image, some self-concept, and that is the beginning of a personality development or the leadership development aspect. An individual's self-concept is the core of his personality. A strong and positive self-image is the best possible preparation for success in life. When we talk about the thoughts and desire, we talk about passion, we talk about belief. It is very important to understand what is the process, what is the criteria, what is the mechanism through which all these things develop. Anyone knows, everyone knows that we are talking about here the mind. But what is mind? Let us just understand quickly. There are two important parts of our mind. One is the conscious mind, one is the subconscious mind. But the significant role, the substantial role comes from the subconscious mind. The conscious mind plays hardly 2 to 3% of the total mind's role. But 96-98% comes from subconscious mind. I give you certain facts about the subconscious mind through this slide. Our entire behavior, thoughts, and actions are controlled by this invisible force, which controls the mind like a puppet. Whatever we see, read, hear, or think may be lost in our immediate memory, but they are firmly registered as emotions, beliefs, and experiences in the dark inner chamber of our mind, which is the most critical part of our mind. The day we are able to get hold of our subconscious, our entire attitude will change for better. In fact, only then we would be able to truly understand our desires. And here comes the belief, how these are generated. This is basically the role of subconscious mind. Through the power thinking, our thoughts, emotions, these are stored in the darkest, in the deepest part of our subconscious mind, and they take the form as belief. The subconscious mind cannot differentiate between right and wrong. It accepts whatever is impressed upon it and creates our reality from there. It can't judge whether a thought is desirable or undesirable. It is a natural process, whether desirable or undesirable, it stores them. The only way to change our trance from struggle to success is to change our subconscious blueprint, and this can only be assessed subconsciously. And in a nutshell, what we believe, we get. So what I'm trying to say here is that if we need to change ourselves, if we need to change our beliefs, if we want to be from great to greater or greater to the greatest, we need to change our subconscious blueprint, and that is the only formula which can work. And how it can work? We have to work our desires and thoughts. We have to make sure our desires are nothing less than passion. We have to make sure that our thoughts are nothing less than belief. And belief means very strong beliefs. And we should not only believe in ourselves, We should start believing in our surroundings, our team, our family, and whosoever are there. If we can develop them in the process, we can start believing in them. Of course, that will be the process to develop them. And that's how the things take to the next step.
Sir, I would just try to inform you, sir. If you are sharing a presentation, it is not visible on the screen. You will have to share your entire screen to make the presentation visible.
Is it visible now?
No, sir.
Is it visible?
No. You are seeing the sharing rights. It is there with you. It is by default with the network that we are providing.
It says open system, this permission required. It says. Can I go ahead like that?
Go ahead. Sir, you can go ahead. The permission is already there. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I think let me continue. So by and large, I have explained that part. Now coming to the point, a very important question comes. When we start thinking and we go towards power thinking, a very important concept comes of intelligence. And we feel like, this is the way the intelligence is developed. Now question comes, what is intelligence? And there are certain elements of intelligence. The IQ is that part, EQ is that part, and another element is SQ is also important part. So we are talking about intelligence quotient, emotional quotient, and spiritual quotient. And why all these three components are part of intelligence, let me just put an important fact here that do we understand what is the difference between intelligence and wisdom? Are these the same things? And what is intelligence and what is wisdom? If intelligence is the entire things, I'll just give an example of Osama bin Laden. What he did, I need not to tell you. What he tried to achieve. Now question comes whether he was intelligent. Undoubtedly, probably everyone, whosoever is part of this forum and this audience, everyone would agree that he was extremely intelligent. But the question comes whether he was wise, whether these actions were wisdom driven. I leave this answer to you people all. Probably anyone, by exception, only can say that these are driven by wisdom. And probably this defines what is intelligence, what is wisdom. So if I need to explain what is intelligence and what is wisdom, I would put it in these words. Application of intelligence in the rightful and the meaningful manner is the wisdom, basically. And when I mentioned the IQ, EQ, and SQ part, without all these three compositions, wisdom cannot be developed. With IQ, intelligence can be developed, but without the contribution of EQ and SQ, wisdom cannot be developed. And if there is hardly any wisdom, only intelligence is there, probably we will just be competing, we will just be running, we will just be either we become greedy or we will become fearful, but probably we will not balance ourselves. We cannot balance our life, we cannot balance our leadership, we cannot balance our entire way of handling things. So it is the wisdom ultimately which prevails and which makes sense. And when I'm talking about wisdom, it is the collective wisdom in any organization, in any institute, in any ministry. It works right from looking at the composition of ministry, the cabinet ministry, the state level ministry. At the state level, these ministries, at different institutes and organizations. When we talk about the three professional institutes, CSES, ICWA, there is a council, which means there is a collective wisdom there. When we talk about the companies and the corporates, there is a board of members where collective wisdom is there. And now when we talk about the wisdom, what are the challenges in applying the wisdom? And, wisdom demands the value system. It demands values. And what is the most important value which is really, really required to develop wisdom is the integrity. It is the integrity which is the most challenging value. At the same time, according to me, according to my experiences, and probably with the combination of various other experiences which I could hear, it is the most challenging value to apply with. It is very difficult, though essential, but very difficult to apply integrity in a consistent manner in all the circumstances, no matter whatever be the challenges. It will always be challenging. It is the demand, integrity demands something very, very exceptional, and it comes from the courage. So it is another leadership important trait. We talked about passion, we talked about belief, we talked about values, we talked about intelligence, we talked about wisdom, but a very demanding role comes from the courage. If we have to develop wisdom, if we have to apply values, a significant contribution comes from the courage part. Courageous people can do that, but this is very important part. The another courage where it is tested, when we become judgmental. Decision making is a very important part of any leader, but decision making requires some judgment. But it is always challenging, and only courageous people can do when they keep patience. They don't judge the things too quickly. They listen to people carefully, but they don't get influenced with all the facts and the descriptions provided or the shared. They first test, verify, go into the details of entire things. Unless and until they collect the entire facts, they discover the entire material, and they strongly believe in that they have verified, tested, then only they make themselves judgmental, then only they start making the decisions, and that is the most courageous part. Only courageous people can do that. And the another way when courage is tested is when you need to be neutral, when you need to be unbiased, when you need to be indiscriminate, because it is very easy to get influenced. It is very easy. Almost we all are, tempted and influenced at various points of time, and we discriminate. We become biased. It is very difficult to be neutral, and this is the most courageous and most challenging part of wisdom, values of any great leader, when he is tested on these points, that he has integrity, he is neutral, he is unbiased, he is not too quick in making judgments, he listens properly, but listening is not enough. He goes into the details of the facts, he verifies, he takes his time, he keeps patience, he collects entire data, he discovers each and everything. Once he has a strong belief in that, then he takes a decision, then he passes the judgment. And that is where the courage is tested, any leader is tested upon. The another courage which is being tested in this process is when you accept your ignorance. If you have a limited knowledge of anything, or if you do not know anything, and when you admit, I'm sorry I do not know, or I'm sorry I have a very limited knowledge of it, I need to understand it, I would like to listen from you, or I would like to be taught by you, or I would like your advice to be taken, or I would need legal advice or professional advice, or I want to study it, and applying that sincerely and rigorously, and then only coming to the outcomes and the decision making. That is what the courage demands. Admitting, confessing, accepting, sharing, becoming transparent, clear, upfront on those things. These particular traits, makes a person and create those particular personality traits to be perceived or to be seen in him or observed in him, a strong level of credibility, the authenticity, the trustworthiness, the love and affection, the reliance, the dependability, the indispensability, and whatever one can say. When all these things you are tested through and you prove yourself, then only you are treated and counted as responsible, accountable, credible, authentic, trustworthy, love and affectionate, compassionate, considerate, and whatnot. With the time constraint and honoring the time, I would like to, sum up the entire summary of discussion here and just repeat certain words which I have described in this entire discussion. The very important part, the passion, the belief, intelligence, wisdom, value system, courage, how these courage is tested, and the ultimate aim of your goal is to take some right decisions, to be counted and to be believed as credible, a man of integrity, authentic, trustworthy, a man of love and affection, compassionate, considerate, and whatnot. And with these very small highlights and insight, I just sum up my words, and I again give tribute to not only all the secretaries but especially Subbaraman sir, and I again express my heartfelt condolences. And thanks everyone. Thank you Manish ji, thank you Ashish ji. You have given me this opportunity to share my thoughts. Thanks everyone. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Dinesh Arora sir, our former secretary. This has been an enlightening session. The sharing of your experiences with CSTP Subbaraman sir ji, and the kind of knowledge that you have provided today, the understanding and the insight. It is of a great moment for all of us to listen to you and to understand what leadership is all about. It was a session that we will all remember, and now the time has come to close this memorial lecture in the loving memory of CSTP Subbaraman sir. But before we close, I definitely request Mrs. Vijay Lakshmi to please say a few words, even if it is in her language, in her lovable language, whichever language she wants to speak. She was earlier speaking when she was asking Jayakumar sir.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether Amma is able to take herself off mute. I can see that her
He is
iPad
wanting to
is still.
speak. I have been observing that I want ma'am to kindly say a few words. If you can call her up and give her some instruction to unmute herself, if that will be
Let
okay
me
for-
check. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Once I went to Chennai, went to Mr. Subbaraman's house, and Amma served us some delicious idlis. I still cherish, I still remember, I still feel the taste of those idlis, they were so tasty and very, very warm lady she is. Absolutely motherly figure.
I'm sure Amma welcomes everybody with open heart at home, and I have seen her feed or provide meals to anybody who comes home from the institute as well, Mr. Jain.
But
I'm
surprisingly,
just trying
when
to see if
we
Amma is
invited,
able to take us on board.
surprisingly, when we invited Mr. Subbaraman, Mrs. Subbaraman to our house in Noida, then we asked her what is her preference.
Amma, on the phone,
She said,
are you able to
North
take your?
North Indian food, and they relished North Indian food. He makes
Jayakumar
lovely-
ji, there is some network issue at our end because there is a particular icon appearing on the screen.
I'm not sure what happened. I think Amma lost her connection, and she's
Oh my God.
not in the meeting right now. If I can see that, and I don't think she has anybody to help. We had a family friend who helped her log on, and I think she's not able to log on right now. But
Please, I request a
Hello,
few
Amma.
minutes.
Amma, ஒன்னால unmute பண்ணி
He can speak on telephone itself, and the telephone you can put on the speaker.
Yeah.
let me try and do that.
seems that she lost the connection. She's not able to see or talk anything, it seems. And I'll just ask her from her side what she wishes to say. Amma, நீ என்ன சொல்லணும்னு சொல்லு, I'll just repeat what you want to say.
Put your phone on a speaker mic.
Hello, Amma? Amma, can you hear me? உனக்கு என்ன சொல்லணுமோ அதை நீ தமிழ்லயோ இல்லாட்டக்க ஹிந்திலயோ எதுல வேணா சொல்லு, நான் அவள்கிட்ட கன்வே பண்றேன். ஓகே?
I am very proud of him, Princhulu. அப்புறம் work is his worship.
Yes. He says she says work is his worship. We're all very proud and we are very happy with the way everyone spoke about him. அப்புறம் சொல்லுமா?
Thank you very much to everybody.
Yeah, she's getting very touched and emotional and says thank you to everyone for arranging this memorial, and it's we know he accomplished what he wanted, but here we see your talk makes us really feel humbled and proud. Thank you so much for everything.
Thank you.
Amma says thank you. Aarti ji, thank you so much. Can you hear what she said?
Yes, we definitely have heard, and students and members who joined us today have also heard her thought, and we thank her for speaking today to make this more memorable for us, and we thank all of you. So as a formal vote of thanks, I would just go and express my various thoughts that came over. So on behalf of the Institute of Company Secretaries of India, I thank our President C.S. Devendra V. Deshpande ji, C.S. Manish Gupta ji, Vice President of the Institute, C.S. Ashish Mohan ji, Secretary of the ICSI, and the entire Council of the Institute for this great commemorative moment that has now become a part of ICSI's historical journey. I thank C.S. N.K. Jain sir, former Secretary and CEO of ICSI, for his wise and worthy words and sharing of his experiences, informing us on the vision and the clarity of ideas that C.S. T.P. Subbaraman sir had, and the way he implemented those ideas to make the institute the way it is today. So we thank you, sir, for that. I thank the family members of C.S. T.P. Subbaraman sir for sharing their experiences with us, giving us an insight on how the institute looks from the outside, from your point of view. It was a great experience for us today, listening to you. Uma ma'am, Jay Kumar sir, Rama ma'am, and Vijay Lakshmi ma'am, thank you so much for joining us today. I also thank C.S. Dinesh Arora ji, former Secretary of ICSI, who gave an incredible session on leadership development. I'm sure the students and members would have benefited immensely from it. I also thank the students and members who joined us today for this memorial lecture, and I hope this lecture would give them a successful professional direction and inspiration. So closing today from ICSI and a great experience today that we had through this memorial lecture, this is Aarti J. Shalenda signing off from ICSI with a big thank you to you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.